Hello and welcome to a rainy day edition of Pipe Corner. It's been raining pretty heavily all day, so I figured I'd do something indoor here at my desk. We might get a visit from my bird who's singing over there. We'll see what happens. Today I wanted to do a video response to a post I just saw from a YouTube user called Boca de Boynton. Hello and thank you for subscribing to my account. I just saw your video on Softy bits and I wanted to share my opinion as well. So you had a good point. You had said in your video, don't let anyone talk you into using them and don't let anyone talk you out of using them. And I thought that was good advice. Decide for yourself. For those of you who don't know what I'm referring to, this is a Softy bit. This is a little bit of rubber that goes on the end of your pipe, and I'll show you, for example, this one right here, where you can see it kind of flares at the top there. You can just make out the shape of that Softy bit, and it's got a lot of tooth marks in it because I do tend to chew pretty heavily on my pipes when I'm smoking, and the Softy bit will help you to keep your grip on the pipe as well as keep your pipe from getting too damaged. Now I'm going to show you one reason why you might not want to do that. This pipe here that I featured just the other day, which is my Comoy Prince pipe, I used to have a Softy bit on there, and if I can get this focused here, you can see where the Softy bit used to be, the stem oxidized unevenly with the rest of the pipe. Now I've heard warnings before that the Softy bit will cause moisture to remain in there and will cause your pipes to oxidize faster. This would seem to be the opposite effect. And you can see in the light there that it really is like a hard line. There's a big difference there. So that's one of the things to be aware of when you're going to use a Softy bit on your pipe. Another thing that I've come across with my pipes is I've got a couple here. Here's a Tripus that I've got a Softy bit on. Here's a 4-dot Brigham that I've got a Softy bit on. And you'll notice that all these black Softy bits are on black stemmed pipes. But what happens if you have a completely different color of stem? Well, in that case, I have purchased some length of clear plastic tubing. And what's probably best if you're going to do what I do is buy some tubing, cut a bit off, sterilize it in some boiling water, and chew on it for a day intermittently, because some plastics will start to get a sweet flavor or break down and leach a flavor. You don't want that when you're smoking a pipe. But this one I tested and it was fine. So what I did with that was I took the end of the tube, the piping, I put it in some boiling water, and then when it was just pliable enough, I stretched it over the mouthpiece. For example, on my Nomad antler pipe here, I stretched it over the mouthpiece, so now I have a clear plastic one, so it doesn't detract from the look of the material on that. And I've also got, for another pipe that has a really important stem, there's a hand-cut Cumberland stem on this pipe here, which was my Wessex. And this one you'll see a bunch of tooth marks on, but you can see that now, again, this clear Softy bit that I've made helps you to maintain the continuity of the color of the stem. So there's a couple of options when it comes to Softy bits. Now, a couple of pipes that I don't use Softy bits on. This is a giant mouthpiece on my Savinelli St. Nicholas, and I didn't want to put anything on that one. And this one here on my British Best Briar 1984 Christmas pipe, you can see some tooth marks starting to build up on there, but I really like the lines of this one, and I didn't want to detract from it by putting a Softy bit on there. And this one here was my grandfather's British Best Briar, and it had a broken stem, so I had the old acrylic stem replaced with a lucite stem, and this is much harder, and I'm thinking I'm going to put a Softy bit in there, a clear Softy bit, because this one's harder to hold in your mouth with that one. So these are examples of when you would or when you wouldn't want to have a Softy bit on, but again, it's up to taste. And finally, I've got this pipe here, which is one of the few in my collection that is unsmoked. This is just a little Rop Bulldog. And I haven't smoked it yet, but I do find that when I'm sitting working at my desk here, or if I'm on a Zoom call, or just I'm muted on a Zoom call and I'm just kind of sitting around, I like to just stick it in the mouth and just have it there, just for hold something in my mouth as I don't smoke inside. I've got books, I've got pets, I've got camera equipment that gets greased up and fogged by smoke. I don't smoke in my home, I smoke outside. So when I can't smoke, I use this as a bit of oral fixation. And as solely a bit of oral fixation for the moment, it's useful to have that rubber Softy bit on there because it's something, it makes it easier to hold on to, which is the whole reason I have it in my mouth, you know. So that's just a little thing about Softy bits. They're real cheap if you want to pick up a couple and give them a try. Most stores and websites will carry them, so see what you can find. Again, thanks to Boynton for the subscription, and thanks for your first video on Softy Bits. I hope I've helped to add to the conversation. I am Cigar and Bar, this has been Pipe Corner, and I will see you next week. Cheers.